Self-doubt can be absolutely crippling. Now look, man, part of our job as musicians or creatives, whether you're an artist who, paints, or whether you're a musician, a guitarist, a bass player, a drummer, or any of that, man, self-doubt can be absolutely crippling in your life. And I'll give a recent example. Man, I get, people send me gear and say, demo the gear and put it on the channel. And I don't get a lot of time anymore to do multiple takes and write an amazing piece and all that. And maybe one day I will get that time and I will be able to do that. But for now, I have to do things very quickly. But you know what? It makes it so my content is real. It's not edited. I don't have a script right now. I'm hitting record on this phone and I'm speaking to you now with confidence. And that is what you must enact in your entire life, is confidence. No more self-doubt. It's very easy to get in the gerbil wheel of self-doubt and just keep spinning in that circle. Oh, I don't know if I like this. Oh, I could do better. Oh, I don't know this. And pretty soon, time has wasted, and the more you spin on the gerbil wheel of self-doubt, the more crippling it becomes to where nothing ever gets done. It's not really our job. Yes, we have to listen to what we've done or look at our art or look at what we've created or what we're doing in our life, and we do have to judge it. We do have to go, yes, this is good. Yes, I like this part. Yes, I like that. But man, the self-doubt of creating, of being an artist, it can be absolutely crippling to the point where nothing ever gets done. And man, you've got to learn to edit yourself and be semi-critical enough to make sure you get a good performance. But man, it's like a guy like Alan Holdsworth, one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And I believe that he was riddled with self-doubt and self-criticism. And, he's not a guy that would ever accept a compliment. He's a guy that never, thought what he was doing was great. And meanwhile, we would all hear what he's playing and just going, oh my God, this is the most incredible guitar playing I've ever heard in my life. But I believe he was crippled with self-doubt. And he was beleaguered with just insane amounts of talent. So talented that he was so far ahead of everyone else that it made his music hard for regular people to relate to. That is such a tough place to be. Fortunately, for most of us, we don't have that insane level of talent. But what we do have is our own creative input. Each and every person out there has their own creative DNA. And it is so important that you are able to notice how important this creative DNA is and be willing to accept what you are doing as valid and good. Now, I did this demo the other day, and I don't have much time, for this, electric guitar. I did a demo, and I don't have a lot of time, to shoot video and edit and do all this stuff. So I had to just crank up the guitar, shoot the video, and be done with it. And then just do a couple of edits and put it out. And, I was shocked because I had recorded this video thinking, man, I could have done so much better. And man, I just didn't really like what came out. And then I noticed I put the video out because I had to put it out because the people were waiting on it. Hey, where's our video? We sent you a guitar. Where's our video? And something happened. I put the video out. I made it so I was, I made it as good as I could at that with the limited amount of time that I had. And I put the video out. And then I realized when people were watching it, they absolutely loved it. And man, that is why self-doubt can be so crippling. And you know what? There was no need for it. I put it out and people loved it. Oh man, that sounded awesome. That rocked and all this. And meanwhile, when I was producing the video, I'm like, man, this just isn't what, because I had a vision in my head of what I wanted to do. But the reality is that what I had time to do was an entirely different thing. And that self-doubt could have crippled me to the point where I didn't even put out a video. It could have taken me weeks to put out videos. I've worked on albums for people where we finished the basic tracks, and then it takes 2 years for them to mix it. I've got a guy I did a project for months, years ago. And we all got paid and we all played on this guy's record. And it's just in the can. It's just sitting in the can. And I believe that it's self-doubt which was the problem. It's one of the reasons why, even though I did a bunch of projects with this guy, I just wouldn't do another one with him. He said, hey, let's do this or let's do that. And I just said, I just don't want to work that way. I want to work quickly, get good results, and have it mixed, mastered, and move on to the next project. And, if you sit there every day and, I'm working on the mix, when you have somebody mixing a record, it is a challenging thing. But what you've got to learn to do is be okay with not being perfect. And in today's imperfect world, with everybody snapping everything to grid and everybody tuning every vocal and everybody, trying to make sure everything's perfect. And, back in the day, that meant for us old timers playing it 1,000,000 times. But man, in the tape days of making music, you only had but so many takes before that tape would start to run out. And I believe that when you lose the spontaneity in a performance, sometimes the first take is the best take. And when you keep doing it over and over, I was on a session one time, and it was me, and it was Joe Wooten and John Billings and all these, Shane Terrio and Dorico Watson, all these incredible players on this session that they had flown out for this, session. And we're playing in this, multi-million-dollar studio. And, the producer would just have us do take after take of the same song. And it's just like, Joe Wooten at one point says, well, let's go ahead and beat the dead horse. Because it is, man, when you first start playing something, 1 or 2 or 3 takes, it's usually it. It usually doesn't get any better than that, as long as there's not any glaring mistakes. Keeping that raw, positive energy is really what you need to do. So if you're painting and you're constantly redoing the same painting, you know what? Maybe that first painting, maybe there is beauty in the imperfection. And that is the thing we have to realize as creatives, that there is beauty in imperfection. Not everything needs to be in this over-processed AI, world where everything's polished and glossed over, and I'm worried about how my hair looks and all of this other nonsense, which really doesn't mean a thing. I thought the video that I put out, I thought, it's no good and all this. And then everybody just loved me, just cranking out some riffs and just playing off the cuff. And that is like one of the greatest lessons you could learn, is be okay with your spontaneous creation. Learn to enjoy what you do. Don't self-doubt yourself. That cloud of self-doubt will hang over your head and prevent you from making forward progress. You could, yes, of course, there's the famous meme where it's a skeleton and he's at a mixing board and it says the mix is almost done. I have been on so many projects where you're just pouring over every detail and every mix. And yes, you can make huge mistakes in a mix, and you should make sure you do it right and record your stuff right, and don't put out subpar material. I'm not talking about that. But when you know something, hey, this is pretty good, find the beauty in it. A perfect guitar solo isn't always the right guitar solo for a song. Sometimes there is absolute beauty in the nasty and filthy and dirty and grimy playing that might just pour out of your heart. Sometimes a raw track just sounds better than a bunch of polished, overproduced tracks. And there is beauty in imperfection. But don't let self-doubt cripple you. Don't let self-doubt be something that holds you back from achieving your goals. At some point, you're going to have to put that video out. At some point, you're going to have to finish that song. But don't let the self-doubt make it turn into this gerbil wheel of, I don't know, I think I could do better. And then the end result lost all spontaneity. It lost that creative spark, and it became a thing where it doesn't even have the vibe that it needs. Whether it's a painting or a song or a performance or a guitar solo or a drum part or bass or keyboards or anything, it's all about the vibe. Don't lose the vibe by wrapping yourself in self-doubt. Be okay with your performance. Learn what you're good at and focus on that. Don't try to be Yngwie if you're Eric Clapton. If you're Eric Clapton, be the best Eric Clapton that you can be. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't try to be Pavarotti if you're Cyndi Lauper. Find what you do and perfect it. And learn to be happy with yourself, your inner self. Be okay with that and understand that perfection is not the goal. What is the goal is vibe, is feel, is reaching that goal and not wallowing in self-doubt. Man, it's very easy to get in that gerbil wheel of self-doubt and end up not accomplishing anything and never releasing your beautiful art to the world. And that is something that you've got to get control over. You've got to master your own mind. Strength comes from the mind first, and the body will follow. So you must find your inner strength, be happy internally and externally with what you create, be okay with imperfection, don't over polish, don't over tune. People will know it instantly when they hear it. Be okay, get out of that self-doubt and release your beauty onto the world.